Welcome. Tonight, you don't need to be strong. You don't have to fix anything or carry it all alone. As the day fades and the world turns quiet, you've arrived here in this small, still moment. Maybe you're lying down now, wrapped in a blanket, your eyes growing heavy. Or maybe you're simply sitting in silence, listening, waiting, breathing. Wherever you are, this space is yours. A space without pressure, without noise, without the need to prove anything. We often feel like we must hold everything together, be calm, be kind, be enough even when we feel like we're falling apart inside. But tonight, you can let that go. You can rest. You can be held by stillness, by breath, by the quiet presence already within you. There is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to become. Just breathe. Slowly, gently, let go of the tightness in your chest. Let go of the thoughts rushing through your mind. Let go of the weight you've carried all day. You are here now, and that is enough. These Zen teachings are not meant to change you. They are here to remind you that peace is already within you. That release does not come from effort, but from soft awareness. And that healing begins the moment you stop trying so hard to heal. If you feel comfortable, you're warmly invited to share where you're listening from tonight. Whether it's a small town, a busy city, or somewhere in between, your presence matters. Your quiet courage may comfort someone else who needs to know they're not alone. We are all here together, breathing in the same night air, held by the same silence. So now, let yourself settle. Let your breath slow down and allow the journey to begin. He was in his early 40s, working in finance, living in a fast-paced American city where no one really paused long enough to notice how tired they were. Every day began early and ended late, filled with meetings, unread emails, market updates, and the quiet pressure of needing to stay ahead. Sleep had become a problem, not insomnia exactly, but a restless state where the body lay still, but the mind kept sprinting. The moment he closed his eyes, his thoughts came alive. They raced through worst-case scenarios, financial outcomes, the future of his kids, his aging parents, the economy, his career. Even when nothing was wrong, his mind found something to worry about. He tried what most people try: herbal teas, blue light blockers, expensive sleep supplements, podcasts with ocean waves and guided relaxation. Some nights, he would drift off, but the sleep felt shallow, as if he never fully surrendered. Morning always arrived too soon, and he woke up already tired. It wasn't always like this. He remembered times, maybe in college or right after, when falling asleep was simple. No effort, no routine, just a pillow and the comfort of not needing to control everything. But now, he was the one holding everything. The provider, the planner, the protector. He couldn't afford to rest. One Thursday evening, after a particularly heavy workday, he decided to stop by the gym. It was more out of obligation than motivation. People say exercise helps with stress. And maybe, just maybe, it would wear him out enough to sleep. He walked on the treadmill for half an hour, barely breaking a sweat, showered, and changed into clean clothes. But what he remembered most vividly wasn't the gym itself. It was the walk home. He left the building carrying his gym bag, a large, black duffel stuffed with damp clothes, shoes, a water bottle, and other odds and ends. It wasn't unusually heavy, but that night, it felt different. The weight of it pulled on his shoulder in a way that made him aware of how tired he truly was. The sidewalk was quiet, lined with trees and flickering street lamps. Just a 5-minute walk to his apartment, but each step made him more aware of the strain on his back, the pull in his arm. He kept switching sides, trying to ease the discomfort, but it didn't help. Eventually, he spotted a small wooden bench just off the path in a nearby park. He sat down and dropped the bag beside him with a quiet thud. He closed his eyes, let out a long breath. Something about that moment, sitting alone on a quiet street, with a uselessly heavy bag beside him, triggered a realization. The bag wasn't even that important. It was just stuff. And yet, he had insisted on carrying it all the way home without question, like it was something he owed himself to do. He looked at the bag, then back at the sidewalk, then up at the sky. How many things am I carrying that I don't need to? It wasn't just the gym bag. It was the constant scanning of what could go wrong, the need to be prepared, the guilt when he didn't feel productive, the future always looming, the fear of slowing down, the belief that rest had to be earned. No wonder he couldn't sleep. He didn't suddenly become enlightened or float into bliss, but he sat there longer than planned. He let the weight drain from his shoulders. He noticed the tension in his jaw, the clenching of his hands, the way his breath had been shallow without him realizing. And for once, he didn't try to solve it. He just breathed. It wasn't a strategy. It wasn't meditation. It was simply sitting on a bench with no immediate goal and letting the world keep spinning without his help. Eventually, he stood up. This time, he didn't sling the bag over his shoulder. He held it by the strap, letting it dangle by his side. Lighter, now somehow. When he got home, he didn't turn on the news. He didn't check email. He didn't even scroll his phone. He drank a glass of water, took a warm shower, and lay down. His thoughts were still there, but softer. They didn't demand his attention. He imagined setting the gym bag down again, only this time it wasn't clothes inside. It was worries, pressure, self-expectation, fear. And as he exhaled, he pictured letting it go. The truth was never about the world being too heavy. It was about how tightly he had been holding it. The morning started like any other, rushed and sleep-deprived. Everything already felt late, even before the day truly began. The alarm had gone off too late. The house felt colder than usual. He threw on a wrinkled shirt and walked into the kitchen. His daughter sat swinging her small legs from the chair. Her hair was messy. Her face is still soft with sleep. She smiled gently and spread butter on a piece of toast. It could have been a precious moment, but he didn't notice it. His mind was already racing. One hand checking emails. The other is flipping eggs. The toaster beeped. He ignored it. The egg began to burn. He didn't care. Time was slipping away. The pressure to get to work on time was building fast. He snapped. "Hurry up. We're already late." His daughter looked up, confused but quiet. Then she reached for the orange juice, trying to pour it herself. Maybe she just wanted to help. Maybe she wanted to feel grown up. But the carton was too heavy. And in one quick moment, the juice spilled across the table, onto the toast, down to the floor, even soaking into his shoes. And that's when he exploded. The words came sharp and too loud. He didn't mean to shout that much, but the anger rose like fire. He scolded her for being clumsy, for not asking, for making a mess when they didn't have time for this. She froze, her small hands still midair, her mouth open in a silent O. She didn't cry. She just stood still, like a startled animal waiting to see if it was safe. He stormed off to change his shoes, muttering under his breath, throwing on his coat, grabbing his bag. He didn't look back at her face, didn't ask if she was okay. He only felt tired, overwhelmed, like everything in life was falling apart. And she had just stepped into the wrong place at the wrong time. When he came back to the kitchen, she was gone. The toast sat there soggy with juice. The floor was still wet. Near the fridge, he saw her drawing notebook left open. He stepped closer. There was a crayon picture of a house, a sun, two stick figures holding hands. Next to it, in crooked letters, it read, "I'm sorry for the juice. Please don't be sad, Daddy." He stared at the page. His chest tightened, not with anger, but with quiet regret. A deep, slow ache. He realized what he had done. He hadn't shouted at her because of juice. It had nothing to do with juice. It was the email from last night saying we need to talk. The stress at work. The nights of no sleep. The weight of trying to hold everything together when he didn't even know how to hold himself. And she, the person he loved most in this world, had taken the hit. He sat down, still wearing wet shoes. The kitchen smelled of burnt eggs and oranges, and he just sat. Then he closed his eyes. He breathed, not the loud, frustrated kind, but the deep kind, the kind that reaches the belly, the kind someone once told him creates space between emotion and reaction. He got up. I walked to her room, knocked softly. She opened the door quietly, not angry, just unsure. He knelt down, holding the picture, and asked, "Did you draw this for me?" She nodded. "I'm sorry," he said. I yelled, but I wasn't really mad at you. I was mad at everything else, and I let it come out on you. That wasn't fair. She nodded again, then whispered, "I thought maybe you didn't love me anymore." His heart broke. He pulled her into his arms. "Never," he said. "I love you always. Even when I get mad, even when mornings are hard." They stayed like that for a while, breathing together, her small head on his shoulder. The kitchen was still messy. The traffic outside was still bad. But at that moment, it didn't matter anymore. Later, they cleaned up together, laughed when they found juice in her shoes too, made fresh breakfast, left the house a little late, but much lighter. That day was still full of challenges, but after that moment, they didn't seem so sharp anymore. Sometimes the alarm that wakes us isn't the clock. It's a crayon drawing on the fridge. And sometimes what matters most isn't being on time, but pausing long enough to see who we're speaking to breathe, and to remember what love looks like when we're tired. Let that feeling stay a little longer. Just breathe out gently and let the story rest where it needs to rest. The world can wait a little longer while we soften and come back home. And maybe that's where the wait truly begins, when we try so hard to keep going, even when something inside us is quietly falling apart. Tonight's story is about a man named Thomas, a chef who spent most of his life serving others with quiet dedication. He once found joy in every detail: the rhythm of the knives, the warmth of a simmering pot, the way a single dish could bring someone comfort. But lately, even the smell of fresh herbs made him feel tired. He didn't know when it started. Only that one morning, he walked into the kitchen and felt nothing. Not joy, not passion, just pressure. Pressure to show up, to smile, to keep performing, to pretend he still cared. He kept moving, kept doing, because that's what people expected. But inside, he was holding his breath. Every step felt heavier. Every task felt forced. He didn't complain. He didn't ask for help. He just kept pushing through until one night, after service, he stood alone in the kitchen and couldn't breathe. Not from smoke, not from heat, but from the silent ache of carrying too much for too long. And in that pause, something within him finally whispered, "Enough." And now, as your breath grows a little softer and your body begins to settle just a little deeper, let us gently enter the first story of the night. A quiet moment from the life of a woman named Amanda, a mother, a daughter, and someone who, like so many of us, tried so hard to hold everything together. Amanda had always been the strong one. Or at least, that's what she told herself each morning before the sun rose. As she packed lunch for her son, checked her work emails, and tried not to cry in the quiet moments before the world stirred. She was 38, a full-time nurse, a single mother of a sensitive 6-year-old boy, and recently, a daughter mourning the sudden loss of her own mother. For weeks, she had kept going, kept doing, kept showing up with a tight smile and heavy steps, convincing herself that falling apart wasn't an option. There was no time for grief, no space for exhaustion, and no one to hand things off to when everything felt too much. She believed that holding everything together was the only way to prove she was enough, strong enough, capable enough, mother enough. It was late on a Thursday night when Amanda found herself in the fluorescent quiet of a nearly empty supermarket. Her son had finally fallen asleep after a day full of small tantrums and forgotten homework. And she'd promised herself she'd only step out to buy milk and a few things for tomorrow's lunches. The store felt cold and silent. The kind of silence that doesn't comfort, but makes the ache inside louder. She stood in front of the same aisle for too long, unable to remember what she came for. Her hands heavy at her sides, her chest tight with something she couldn't name. The lights buzzed above her, distant and pale. And suddenly, it was too much, the weight of all the small things, the loneliness she hadn't admitted, the missing voice of her mother, who used to remind her to breathe. Amanda sank down onto the floor, right there between canned soups and cereal boxes, knees pulled to her chest, breath shallow, heart racing. No one was around. No one to see the woman who always kept it together finally come undone. And for a moment, she let herself be what she had avoided for so long, overwhelmed, tired, lost. It was in that still, fragile space that something began to shift. Not because anything changed on the outside, but because she could finally feel just how much she had been carrying. For a long moment, Amanda just sat there, her back leaning against the cool shelf, her eyes fixed on nothing, her thoughts spinning quietly like leaves caught in the wind. Then she heard footsteps, slow, steady, unhurried. A woman, perhaps in her 70s, appeared at the end of the aisle. She wore a simple sweater, loose linen pants, and soft shoes that barely made a sound. Her hair was silver, gathered in a low braid. Her face lined with time but peaceful. Without saying a word, the woman walked over and gently lowered herself onto the floor beside Amanda. She didn't offer help, didn't ask questions, didn't try to fix anything. She simply sat, her presence calm, unshaken, kind. Amanda glanced at her, startled, embarrassed. She wiped at her eyes quickly, tried to sit up straighter, to hide her breaking. But the woman placed a hand lightly on her arm and spoke with a voice as soft as warm tea. "You don't have to be strong all the time," she said. "You only need to be here. Now." The words didn't rush. They floated like falling petals. Amanda didn't know why, but the tears came back, not with force this time, but gently, like something inside had finally been allowed to breathe. The aisle remained quiet. The hum of the lights above became a distant sound. For once, Amanda didn't feel the urge to move, to explain, to prove anything. She just sat, and the woman beside her didn't speak again. She didn't need to. It was enough to be there. Two strangers in the stillness, breathing the same air, sharing the quiet weight of being human. In that silence, something inside Amanda softened. Not everything, not all at once, but a tight knot in her chest loosened. She thought of her mother, of how she used to brush Amanda's hair in the kitchen, humming softly, never needing words to soothe. She thought of how long she'd been trying to hold everything up, and how maybe, just maybe, it was okay to stop, just for now, just for this breath. A Zen teaching she'd once read, buried somewhere in the back of her memory, returned like a whisper. Even in suffering, be present. When you are present, suffering is no longer a burden. Amanda didn't know what would come next, but she closed her eyes for a moment. And in that pause, she simply let herself be. Amanda walked out of the store slowly, the automatic doors sliding open with a soft sigh behind her. The night air was cool against her skin, and for the first time in a long while, she noticed the breeze, really noticed it. The parking lot was mostly empty, quiet under the glow of the street lamps. Her hands were still trembling slightly, but her chest felt lighter, as if something heavy had been quietly set down. She looked up at the sky, pale clouds drifting across a dark canvas, and she let herself breathe. Not because things were fixed, not because she had figured anything out, but because, in this moment, She didn't have to pretend she was okay. She got into her car and sat there for a while, keys still in her hand. Her thoughts drifted back to the woman, the quiet way she sat, the softness in her eyes, the weightless truth in her words. You don't have to be strong all the time. You only need to be here. Amanda repeated it silently, like a thread she didn't want to lose. Something about those words felt like home, like a language her heart had always known, but forgotten how to speak. Driving home, the roads were mostly empty. The world outside still carried its noise, but inside, something was beginning to settle. She thought of her son, sleeping in his small bed, of all the times she'd snapped at him, not out of anger, but out of sheer exhaustion, of how often she told herself she wasn't doing enough, being enough, and how loud that pressure had become. Always reaching, always striving to hold everything perfectly. But tonight, something shifted. A quiet understanding that maybe being perfect wasn't what he needed most. Maybe what he needed was her, just as she was. Present, gentle, real. A line from the Dhammapada came back to her, soft and steady in her mind. Happiness does not come from control, but from letting go. And in that moment, Amanda understood happiness wasn't something she had to chase. It was something that could arise when she stopped clinging so tightly to being enough. The car pulled into the driveway, and as she stepped out and walked toward the door, Amanda didn't feel completely healed, but she did feel whole. Amanda's story reminds us that even in the quietest places, like a late-night supermarket aisle, healing can begin, not with answers, not with solutions, but with stillness, with one gentle moment of presence. Now, let's gently turn inward, allowing ourselves to touch that same stillness, to rest, to release. Take a moment to find stillness, not because you have to, but because some part of you is quietly asking for it. Not the part that holds it all together, but the part underneath, the one who gets overwhelmed, who says things too loudly, too quickly, then wishes she hadn't. The part that tries so hard to be good, to hold space for others, to show up again and again, but sometimes cracks open from the inside. Maybe you're listening to this now with a heavy breath, or a heart that's just a little too tight. Maybe you've said something today you didn't mean. Maybe you've reacted not because you're bad, but because you're tired, stretched thin, or simply repeating something you once received. It's okay to be here just as you are. You don't need to fix anything right now. Just notice your body and gently allow it to soften. Let the tension across your shoulders loosen just a bit. Feel the air entering through your nose, cool and steady, and leaving just as slowly. Feel your spine settling deeper into whatever is holding you now. Safe, steady, without judgment. Now picture a small room, not perfect, not silent. Perhaps there are toys on the floor, a half-folded blanket on the couch, a cup left on the table. And in the middle of it all, there's you, standing, breathing, maybe still holding a trace of frustration or regret. Now imagine a little version of you walks into that space. Not your child, but your own younger self, the child you once were. The one who didn't always know the right thing to say. The one who sometimes made mistakes, or was misunderstood, or who longed to be seen without being corrected. Let yourself see that child clearly. Maybe she's confused. Maybe she's scared. Maybe she just wants someone to kneel down and say, "I'm here and I see you." Slowly walk toward her in your mind and offer no explanation, no teaching, no fixing, just presence. Place your hand on her back if you wish. Feel the warmth of connection. Now imagine gently saying to her, "I'm sorry I didn't always know how to hold you with kindness. I'm learning." Watch her soften a little as she hears you. And now, return to yourself in the present. You are still learning, still becoming. And your reactions, while painful at times, are not who you truly are. They are echoes, old rhythms, nervous systems trying to protect something tender. When you catch yourself snapping, or raising your voice, or feeling out of control, it doesn't mean you're failing. It just means something inside is reaching out. Something asking to be heard. Can you pause with it now? Without shame. Without pushing it away. Let your thoughts come and go. Like clouds passing across a wide sky. Let every judgment soften. You are not your last reaction. You are the breath that comes after, the silence that follows, the choice to stay present. Now, bring your awareness back to your body. Feel your hands. Feel the air across your skin. Feel the steady rhythm of your breath in your chest. You are here, and you are okay. Notice where your body is supported. By the bed, or the floor, or the chair. You don't have to hold anything alone. Let your belly soften. Let your jaw release. If there are tears, let them fall. If there is nothing, that's okay too. Just stay with what is, gently and honestly. Now say softly within yourself, "I am learning. I am allowed to grow." Wellcome. I see empties. I am allowed to return. I forgive the moments when I didn't know better. And I choose now to begin again. Not perfectly, just honestly, not with control, but with care. And now, if it's time to sleep, let the edges of your awareness dissolve. Nothing to analyze, nothing to fix, no role to play. Let the child inside you rest. Let the mother inside you rest. Let the whole of you rest until morning comes, in peace, in kindness, in softness, and in love. Sometimes, the weight we carry isn't just our own. It's the quiet ache of watching someone we love hold everything in. You see it in small ways, in how their smile doesn't quite reach their eyes, or how they stay busy just to avoid stopping. You hear it in the way they say, "I'm okay," a little too quickly. There's no breakdown, no outburst, just a steady, silent pressure that never seems to lift. And you want to help, but you don't know how. You don't want to push. You don't want to make them feel exposed. So you stand beside them, aching quietly too. It's a strange kind of pain, watching someone you love disappear behind their responsibilities, behind their need to be strong. And yet, there is something powerful in simply noticing, in being fully present with them. No advice, no fixing, just presence, just love. Sometimes, the most healing thing we can offer is to sit beside their struggle and gently say, "You don't have to do this alone." And in that moment, even if nothing changes on the outside, something inside begins to breathe again. Something begins to soften. Because feeling seen is its own kind of relief. What happens when our purpose begins to fade? When the thing we once loved no longer lights us up, and we're left standing in the quiet, unsure of who we are without it. Laura returned to the city not as the woman who had left, but as someone who had quietly laid something down along the way. She stepped back into her apartment, into her office, into conversations and routines, but this time with less armor, less urgency. The silence that once haunted her now felt like a companion. A quiet space she no longer needed to fill with proving or performing. She no longer checked every mirror for signs of perfection. No longer stayed late to be twice as competent, twice as composed. She still cared, still worked, still loved, but without the weight of needing to be everything. She let her hair fall naturally. She said no without apology. She smiled without overthinking what it meant. There were moments, of course, when the old voices returned, whispering that she should try harder, be more, hold tighter. But now she met them with stillness, a breath, and the soft remembering of a leaf spinning on water. She had begun to understand that the things meant for her would stay without force, and those that drifted were not lost. only returning to where they belonged. In her heart, there was no longer the frantic pacing of what now, but the slow, steady rhythm of this is enough. Not because everything was perfect, but because she no longer believed she had to be. She no longer chased love by becoming smaller or softer or quieter than her truth. Instead, she stood in her own presence, not needing to be admired to feel worthy. The world around her hadn't changed much, but her way of being in it had. She could walk through a crowded day and still carry a quiet center inside her, a stream she could return to at any moment. She had made peace with the truth that some things would leave. Some people would walk away, and some dreams would shift into something else. And none of that meant she was less. She had stopped trying to become someone else to be chosen, and started allowing herself to simply be. And in that space, something beautiful took root, not control, not certainty, but ease, like finally exhaling after holding her breath for years. So as she stood now, at the edge of a new chapter, looking out the same window that once reflected only grief, she whispered, "Not a resolution, not a goal, just a soft question meant for anyone listening. Perhaps even for you. Can you let go of who you thought you had to be? The day is done now, and you are here, safe, held by the stillness of this quiet hour, and nothing more is required of you. No more words to say, no more tasks to finish, no more proving or pushing or pleasing anyone. This moment belongs to you. Let your body feel that. Gently lie down. Or if you're already resting, soften just a little more. Imagine yourself in a space that welcomes rest. Perhaps a room dimly lit by the softness of night, where the air is cool and still, and a quiet ceiling fan turns above you. Or maybe the hum of something simple and familiar fills the silence. A low breeze, a distant rustle, the hush of everything slowing down. Feel the weight of your body settling into your bed, the sheets loose and kind around you, a soft blanket draped over your chest. Your limbs no longer needing to move or brace or perform. Allow the back of your head to feel heavier and your eyes to close without effort. Allow your shoulders to melt into the mattress, your hands to release whatever they've been holding all day. Let this room become a safe cocoon for your tired thoughts. And trust that for now, you do not need to change anything. The only thing to do is be here. Just notice your breath now, not trying to deepen or control it. Simply feel it as it is, the quiet rising of your belly as you breathe in, and the soft falling as you breathe out. The body knows how to breathe without effort, and so you can rest in that rhythm. Feel the breath expand like a small tide at your center, then roll gently away. again and again. And as you feel this breath, you might begin to whisper silently to yourself just the simplest truth. I can let go. I don't have to hold anything right now. Say it slowly, like a warm thought passing through. I can let go. With each breath, imagine something loosening. The need to be strong. The tension from earlier today. The leftover weight of things that didn't go your way. With every exhale, you soften your grip on the day. And if your mind wanders, that's okay. Thoughts may still rise like echoes in a cave. Memories of today, plans for tomorrow, or just the noise of a restless mind. You don't have to follow them. Just notice that you're thinking and gently return to the breath. That quiet rhythm, the belly rising and falling. Let it be an anchor in this sea of stillness. Now, imagine this simple idea sinking deeper into your body. Tonight, nothing needs to be fixed. Nothing needs to be explained. The world can wait until morning. Even the things that feel heavy right now will look different with the sun. For now, it is just you and this quiet permission to rest. Say to yourself, softly, I don't need to be right. I don't need to be ready. I don't need to do more. I am allowed to stop. You might begin to notice that your breath has slowed on its own, that your eyelids feel heavier now, that something inside you is leaning into peace. This is the moment when you remember that you are more than your thoughts, more than your efforts, more than the weight of any single day. Underneath all of that, there is a quiet self, still and whole, and you are allowed to return to that place now. No one else can do it for you, and no one can take it away. It lives beneath your worries, beneath your identity, beneath even your name. This soft truth that you are enough, not because of what you've done, but because you are here, breathing, being, existing in stillness. And in that stillness, may you sleep. May your thoughts grow distant, like clouds drifting across the night sky. May your body sink deeper into the earth's embrace, and may you dream not to escape, but to remember something simple and kind, that you are already home, that you don't have to reach for peace. It has already arrived, and you are already resting inside it. Claire was 40, a single mother, and like many others, she had been holding her world together with 2 hands. No rest, no breaks, no one to catch her when she got tired. Her morning started before the sun came up, packing lunches, checking emails, throwing clothes in the dryer while brushing her daughter's hair, already thinking ahead to the next thing and the next. Her life was full of doing, managing, remembering, and holding space for everything and everyone except herself. For years, she told herself this was what strength looked like. She didn't complain, didn't ask for help. She believed being a good mother meant always showing up, always staying in control, always holding it all, even when she was falling apart inside. That day, it was something small. She had left work late, caught in traffic, and arrived at the school pickup line 20 minutes behind. Her daughter stood on the curb, arms crossed, face tight with frustration. As soon as Claire pulled up, she could feel it, the silent accusation, the disappointment in her child's eyes, the unspoken words, "You weren't here when I needed you." Claire opened the car door with an apology already forming. But before she could speak, her daughter snapped. "You're always late. Everyone else's mom was here on time." And then silence. Claire's hands tightened on the steering wheel as they drove home. She tried to breathe through it, to let it pass. But the comment kept echoing in her head. Not because it was unfair, but because it touched something raw. Something she had been trying so hard not to feel. At home, her daughter went straight to her room, slamming the door in that way only children can loud. Final. Unknowingly sharp, Claire stood in the kitchen, holding on to the edge of the sink, as if the cold metal could keep her grounded. Her chest felt heavy. Her eyes stung. But she wasn't angry at her daughter. She was angry at herself for being late, for never being enough, for always trying so hard and still feeling like she was failing. She had spent so long pretending to be okay that she didn't even know how to not pretend anymore. But that night, something gave. Claire didn't clean the kitchen. She didn't fold the laundry. She walked to her daughter's room, knocked once, and opened the door. Her daughter was lying on the bed, back turned, arms crossed. Claire sat down at the edge, took a slow breath, and said softly, "I'm tired." Her voice trembled, not from weakness, but from finally telling the truth. "I try so hard to do everything right, and sometimes I still get it wrong. I know I let you down today. I know you were scared and maybe embarrassed, and I'm sorry. But I'm also really tired." There was a pause, a long one. And then, without turning around, her daughter whispered, "I just didn't know where you were." Claire nodded, tears quietly falling down her face. "I know. And I should have told you sooner. I should have told you how hard it is to be strong all the time." For the first time, Claire allowed herself to be seen not as a perfect mom, not as someone who had it all together, but as a real, feeling human being. And in that moment, something softened between them. Her daughter didn't say much, but she rolled over, reached for her mom's hand, and held it tight. No blame, no shame, just presence. That night, Claire didn't feel like a failure. She didn't feel like a perfect mother either. She just felt real. And somehow, that was more than enough. The lesson was quiet but clear when we let go of the image we're trying to live up to. We give the people around us a chance to meet who we really are. We stop managing connection and start feeling it. Letting go doesn't mean doing less or caring less. It means releasing the pressure to always perform, always appear unbreakable. It means trusting that love can meet us even in our undone, imperfect moments. And sometimes, it's not the held together version of us that teaches others how to love. Sometimes, it's the one who finally says, I can't do it all, and chooses, instead, to be honest. So if tonight you feel like you've been holding too much, if your body is tired from carrying all your roles and your heart is sore from pretending to be okay, know that even this breath you're taking now is an act of release. Even this listening is a step toward healing. You don't have to do it all. You never did. And now, let's take a few moments to breathe into that truth together. If your thoughts are still circling around tomorrow, if you've been carrying the weight of what might happen, what needs to be done, what should have been said, let this be your gentle reminder. Right now, you don't have to fix tomorrow. This moment doesn't need anything from you. You don't need to be ready or productive or perfect. You only need to be here, just as you are, with this breath and this stillness. Let's begin by arriving. Let's soften the grip we have on the future and slowly return to the present. You are safe here. No plans, no deadlines, no pressure, just one breath, and then another, and another. Let them come naturally, like waves that roll in and roll out. You don't need to change your breath. Just notice it. Follow it like a thread that leads you back to yourself, back to this quiet place where nothing is missing. Now, imagine that the thoughts you've been holding all day, the schedules, the worries, the conversations that didn't go as planned, imagine they're like papers scattered across a desk.
And Isha Dindum.
And you don't have to read them anymore. Just gently slide them aside, one by one. Let the desk be clear. Let the noise settle. Let the pressure fade. There's nothing you need to solve in this moment. Now picture yourself sitting in a quiet room, warm and dimly lit, with a soft chair beneath you. Nothing around you is asking for your attention, not even your thoughts. There is only the soft sound of your breath and the gentle ticking of time, not rushing, not pushing, just unfolding, moment by moment. Watch your thoughts as they come and go. You don't have to chase them, or judge them, or change them. If a thought about tomorrow appears, you can nod at it kindly. Then let it float past like a cloud in the sky. You are not your thoughts. You are the quiet awareness beneath them. Deeper, softer, still. Now, gently shift your attention to your body, your shoulders, your chest, your hands. Is there anywhere holding tension? Is there a part of you trying to stay alert for no reason? Let it soften. Let your jaw unclench. Let your belly loosen. Let your hands rest wherever they fall. There is no need to prepare for anything. You are already enough. Feel the weight of your body supported by the surface beneath you. You are grounded. You are safe. You are allowed to rest. In your own mind, whisper these truths. I don't have to fix everything right now. I am allowed to pause. I am allowed to be uncertain. I am allowed to rest without earning it. Let these words sink into your breath, into your chest, into your whole being. You can always come back to this. Now, gently let go of even these words. There is nothing more to do. You are not responsible for the world right now. You are not responsible for tomorrow. It will come when it comes. And you are free to sleep. Let your thoughts become quiet. Let your breath become slow. Let your body become still. And let sleep take you. In its own time, like a tide pulling you softly out to sea. You are safe here. You are home here. You are allowed to let go. Now, and now, and now, sleep well. Sometimes, pain doesn't arrive with a clear name. You find yourself snapping at someone you love over something small, or lying awake at night, heavy with a sadness you can't quite explain. There are moments when your chest feels tight, or your thoughts start racing, and yet, you don't know why. You tell yourself to calm down, to let it go, to move on. But something deep inside resists. You're not just tired. You're tangled. And that makes all the difference. You begin to notice patterns. Maybe you always feel anxious in certain situations, or guilty when resting, or angry when someone doesn't listen. But when you stop and ask yourself why, there is only silence. And in that silence, a quiet ache begins to surface, knowing that something is buried deeper than your conscious thoughts. A wound, perhaps, a memory, a fear. That's when a gentle question begins to arise. Where is this coming from? not to judge, not to blame, but to understand. Because sometimes healing begins not with fixing, but with noticing, not with rushing forward, but with turning inward. And when we dare to ask that question, even softly, we begin to see that our pain has roots, and those roots are waiting to be understood. When we begin to wonder where our suffering comes from, a doorway gently opens. We step into a space of honesty, and perhaps, for the first time, we stop trying to push the pain away. We sit with it. We look at it. And slowly, we begin to see that our hurt doesn't just come from what happened yesterday. It has been growing for a long time. Sometimes we suffer because we misunderstand the world. We believe that we need to always be strong, always be right, always be in control. We carry ideas about who we should be. And when life doesn't match those ideas, we feel lost or broken. That's the confusion that clouds our view. We're not bad. We're just not seeing clearly. Other times, our suffering grows from the things we chase. We think, if I just get this job, this love, this peace, then I'll be okay. And we run after it, over and over. But even when we reach it, the peace doesn't last. We feel empty again. So we chase more. And there are moments when we suffer because we push things away. A memory, a feeling, a person, anything that makes us uncomfortable. We try to avoid. But running doesn't free us. It only keeps the pain alive under the surface. So when we begin to see all this, not with shame, but with care, we begin to understand. And that understanding is where healing begins. Because when we know what hurts us, we can finally begin to hold it, soften it, and let it go. And now, as we near the end of this quiet journey together, take a soft breath and feel the space we've gently opened inside. Tonight, we walked through the tender teachings of letting go, not as an escape, but as an embrace. We began by recognizing suffering, learning that pain is not a sign of failure, but a part of being human. Then we explored the roots beneath it, the old stories, the quiet fears, the tangled expectations we've carried for too long. With compassion, we were invited to respond differently, not with blame or resistance, but with kindness and care. We practiced loosening our grip, not to abandon life, but to return to it with more ease, more truth, more love. Each step, each story, each breath has reminded us that letting go is not giving up. It is opening our hands, our hearts, to what is real. It is choosing to stop carrying what was never ours to hold. And through it all, one message has echoed softly. Be gentle. Be gentle with your thoughts. Be gentle with your past. Be gentle with the parts of you still learning how to soften. This world is already heavy. You don't have to carry it alone. So let your final breath tonight be a whisper of compassion, not only for others, but for yourself. You are doing the best you can. You are growing in ways that no one else sees. And even in the midst of pain, you are healing. Slowly, quietly, truly. Let this night be a place of rest. Let your heart feel safe to release. Let go and trust that who you are in this very breath is already enough. Good night, and may you be held in peace. As you rest here now, with your body growing still and the night folding gently around you, let us enter this final space together, a place where nothing needs to be done, where nothing needs to be fixed, where your only task is to be. You have listened with an open heart. You have walked with quiet honesty through ideas that may take time to settle. And now, there is no pressure to hold on, only an invitation to soften, to release. Tonight is not about effort. It is about allowing what you feel, allowing what you carry, allowing the truth that you don't need to carry it alone. So gently, come home to this moment. Begin by noticing your breath, the slow tide of your own body moving without force. Inhale slowly and exhale gently. Again, let the breath meet you exactly where you are, no matter how heavy or light, no matter how quiet or restless. Just breathe. Now, let's imagine a still lake at twilight. The surface is calm, the light dim and kind, and you are sitting at the edge with your hands open on your knees, in your palms. You're holding something that has weighed on you for some time. Maybe a memory, a worry, a regret. And in this soft moment, you are not being asked to throw it away, only to loosen your grip, only to notice how it feels when you let your hands open just a little. Imagine setting it down beside you on the grass and watching it rest. Nothing dramatic, just a quiet release. As you sit here, thoughts may still come, some soft, some sharp, some loud, and that's okay. Don't chase them. Don't push them away. Just notice. You can say gently to each thought, I see you, and I let you pass. Again, I see you, and I let you pass. There is no need to argue with the mind. Just breathe. Now, gently bring your attention to your body. Feel the weight of your head resting on the pillow. Notice your shoulders and let them soften. Let the chest rise and fall, and the belly rest. Feel your arms growing heavier, your legs sinking into the surface beneath you. There is no wrong way to relax. Simply notice how the body responds when you give it permission to rest. You are safe here. You are allowed to rest. Let your body tell the truth, even if your mind is still catching up. And now, repeat softly within yourself. I release what I cannot control. I forgive what no longer serves me. I offer myself patience. I offer myself peace. I do not need to understand everything tonight. I only need to let go and begin again, over and over. I begin again as you sink deeper into rest. Let go of needing to think. Let go of needing to analyze or explain. Let the stories quiet. Let the images fade. This is the space where you don't have to try. The place where the heart and body are enough. You are enough. You are enough. So rest now, without effort, without expectation. Good night. Dear soul, may the silence hold you gently. May you feel light again. Not all at once, but breath by breath. Let sleep find you like a soft wave. Let go and be free.